we had a school board that didn't have children in the district. The decisions that they were making were not impacting their children, their household. They just couldn't understand what we were dealing with, completely, because they weren't raising kids. And so ultimately, after I watched that board continually capitulate to the state, not listen to the community, which they represent, or they're supposed to represent, I couldn't sit quiet anymore.
Welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast, presented to you by SAC Life TV.
Hello, I'm Topo Padilla, your host of the Powerhouse Podcast, where we talk about current events, things that go on in our community, state, and our country. Today, I have a guest, and throughout all these podcasts I've done, I brought on a lot of people I know that are friends. And today, I have a guest who I came to know through the blessings of our good Lord, in the sense that I met her husband, Brett Spaid, through a tragedy that he faced with his best friend passing away. And I met Brett, and then Brett and Jessica met, and we've been just the best of friends ever since. And our lives are so intertwined every corner we go, because Jessica is somebody who's involved in the community. She's in a band called Moonshine Crazy, and an amazing, amazing singer. If she didn't have everything else she going on, she would be traveling this country. I know it. I just know it. But I just want to tell you, Jessica took on a fight to fight for schooling, the kids and what's being taught in our schools, and watched what was going on at our local school district. And rather than complaining about it, joined the fight and ran for school board. And now she is a member of the Placer Union High School District, and she has been and is doing an amazing job. When I look and think about it, she got elected in 2022 and has been reelected ever since. And she has served on boards that have an effect across this country. So she's an amazing champion for our schools and our education. And what you're doing is, it's reverberating outside of Placer County. So, Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Topo, so much for having me. It's a privilege and an honor, and to get to talk about something that's really important to me. Like, there's nothing more important than kids.
That's it. And so this, again, this is outside of Placer County. You're going to talk about what you've done and what we're doing, but really and truly, I hope the viewers and listeners can understand this is bigger than just you, but what you are doing is gigantic. So what surprised you most about joining a school board?
A lot. Well, first of all, what surprised me most is that I ran for the school board. That was not on my dream board. That was never a wish list of mine. I'm a singer. I'm a mom. We're small business owners. My husband's retired law enforcement with Sac County, and I never dreamed of that. So it was a surprise that I landed into this arena. School districts. I never worked in the school district, although I served in the school district. I played piano, I accompanied choirs, and I was on parent-teacher committees and volunteered in the classroom, and all of the wonderful things that parents do with their children in school. But the school board was an animal that I never thought I was going to charge. And in 2022, I couldn't stand by and watch the continual issues occur without trying to do something about it.
What were some of those issues that catapulted you to joining the school, running for public office?
Yeah. It's wild. In 2020, I think anyone who is raising children across the country, but specifically in California, you can't unsee what our government did in California. California had some of the schools that opened last in the country. Our children were in pain and struggling, certainly with learning loss, socially, with their activities, their lives. As all of us shut down, these children had really great impacts. 2 of my children are dyslexic, so I've had to advocate inside of the schools with special education to get them services and support so that they could be successful in school. But if you can imagine kids that already struggle in school, trying to do some version of a distant learning was a full nightmare, which at that time I had a son in a preschool class. Gosh, I got to think about this now. 8th, 7th. Where was Gray? 2nd. And that same year, I had my first son about to enter into high school. So we started advocating. First, they came back, obviously, in the masks. At that point, we knew that this was not an illness that was really going to damage the kids. They were not the target of this virus. And they were coming back in cohorts and having all kinds of issues. My son was playing football, and their whole team was being quarantined. And I thought, this is crazy. They're outside, by the way, in masks, which I've got a lot of feelings about masks, but they didn't work. And then they're quarantining these kids. And so I was in the principal's office going, hey, my kid's not sick. You can't even tell me what position the kid who popped a positive test was playing. My kid needs to be at school, period, end of story. So we started showing up to those board meetings, trying to get those kids out of masks and into classrooms full time, not the cohorts. And we had a school board that didn't have children in the district. The decisions that they were making were not impacting their children, their household. They just couldn't understand what we were dealing with, completely, because they weren't raising kids. And so ultimately, after I watched that board continually capitulate to the state, not listen to the community, which they represent, or they're supposed to represent, I couldn't sit quiet anymore. And while I didn't initially come up with this idea on my own, I was asked to run. And I said, there's somebody else with more time.
Yeah.
There's somebody else. But if you can't find someone, call me back. And I said, but up to the wire. Give me 72, 48 hours. But by that time, I was in LA and I got a phone call and we found a way.
You got voluntold.
I was voluntold, and I truly believe, I have faith, and this experience has brought me closer to that. I don't think you can be in politics and not feel the evil and the manipulation and this undercurrent, this ugly undercurrent in politics, without leaning on something that's greater than yourself. I believe that I was here for a reason, and God placed me here, and it's been a growth edge. I'm grateful for it. It's an honor and a privilege to serve, but it's been a wild ride, Topo.
Yeah. Well, and again, today is about what you did, what you've done, and what you're doing. This isn't a campaign thing. That's one of the things we talked about.
Yeah.
This is about what you as a mother, a parent, can do to stop. And maybe you don't have to be on the school board. You have her. She's the voice. She's the voice you can turn to and say, hey, here's the way I feel about this. And one thing about her, she'll answer her phone, she'll listen, and she'll give you that respect. So you do that. So back then, the masks, you got through all that. What were some of the things you faced next and as a school board member? Because I remember being there, you guys, when you were running, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What were some of the other things that you had to deal with in Placer County, a very very good, conservative, wholesome, safe community, yet they were trying to infiltrate that school district?
Yeah. Oh, man. Where do I even start? I think that they were shocked that there were opponents in the race to begin with. This is a board that collectively, every member of that board up at that point was either a retiree from the district, appointed to that board, and ran unopposed and was there for, nearly 30 years. I think the most tenured board member at that time had one election following his appointment, and that was over 20 something years ago. I unseated a board member who had been there for 24 years, but everyone had an association with the district or had been there forever. Not everyone agrees with term limits. I do. At a certain point, you're either part of the system or you're the accountability, the checks to the balance of their system. And so, with that turning of the page, I think that there was a lot of fear on behalf of that board. They knew my face. I had protested. I had been involved in rallies, some of the largest rallies in California state history at the Capitol. Thousands of parents who stood up and said, no, these are our kids. These are not your children, our choice. You're not going to tell us what we have to do. And so they saw me coming. I think originally they didn't think I was going to win. And then as things got stickier and closer, and we started picking up steam, I'd never ran a campaign before. Thankfully, our community is amazing, and they rallied behind me, and we ended up winning. And I learned this through the campaign trail by almost 20 points. It was 19 points, which is at 10, it's a whopping in politics, but we won by almost 20. So the community stood up, and we had an incredible grassroots campaign. But once I won, I started seeing the trails of issues leading in, with emails from the superintendent. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. The board bylaw says this. You can't hand out materials at a school event without both candidates, whatever. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yep. Sorry, I didn't know. I never ran a campaign. But once I won, my husband is a coach for the wrestling team at Placer High School, and a wrestling coach. And they told me essentially they would not swear me in if he didn't resign quietly. It's the truth.
Whoa. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, they told me that, I would not be sworn in, and that the attorneys had said that there was a conflict of interest, a 1090 conflict of interest, and that he would have to resign. And I thought, wait a second. It's the middle of their season. That's not okay. I challenged the attorneys. It was the first challenge to the attorneys. Then I proceeded with I think it was a 7 or 8 page legal memo that just explained everything in detail, why he had to resign and why a non-interest exception didn't apply. But they decided, we'll still swear you in and he can finish out the season since you weren't a part of that contract. Long story short, that whole thing went up to the Secretary of State through the Fair Political Practices Commission, or the FPPC, and we won. He's still a coach at that high school. Awesome. A non-interest exception applied. Long story short, they didn't get their way on first round, but less than 30 days later, the challenges began because we held a secret meeting, a special meeting, but it wasn't agendized properly. That we had a conversation around a superintendent hiring process and an appointment, and ultimately teed it up for the former superintendent's deputy to step into that role. And a few months later, I voted against that appointment, and that's when it really went sideways.
Wow.
So I remember quoting that night, John Adams, that you stand on principle even if you stand on alone. And it was a very rough night. And from that point forward, there was essentially a nearly 2-year-long retaliation and harassment campaign to get me to resign. I had numerous formal investigations about ridiculous things, some so ridiculous about interacting with children, just absurd things, spending thousands of our taxpayer resources that should have otherwise been supporting great programs for our kids. And it was hard on me and my family, and I was asked if I couldn't, jive with the current group to resign, and I let them know I wasn't there on behalf of them. I was there on behalf of the community, and luckily in 2024, we had 2 great candidates win their seats. The most tenured board member resigned the same night that the former superintendent was terminated, and it's a new dawn and a new day at Placer Union High School District. We appointed a new member, and now we've got a very solid unit that's representative of our community, that have kids in the school district and are doing very good work right now. But it's been a wild ride. I had an attorney, we had a press release, we had to file formal complaints against the former board and council and superintendent, and like a microcosm. When we think about everything that was transpiring in our country from 2022 through, even now, but there was a period of time where legal warfare and, just nastiness were happening in politics. It still exists today, but it was happening here at a little school board. And it was brutal. It was brutal.
Well, going back to them telling Brett, Coach Spaid, he's got to retire because of you.
Yeah.
You didn't run for school board to benefit him. No. How stupid would that be?
Yeah.
You did it for the kids. Mm-hmm. You did it for the children. You do it today. I can't imagine you're getting rich off being a school board member.
No
costs you money.
Rich. No one's getting rich off of serving as a school board member.
Yeah. And so these things you faced, you've overcome them. And again, I want to tell our viewers and listeners, yes, we're talking about Placer County and Placer County High School District, but this can happen anywhere, to any school district. I know somebody who served on a school board for like 35 years. I thought, what in the world? Why? Gosh, like you said, term limits have their place. They truly do have their place. They've had some pluses and minuses here in the state of California.
Big time.
I think the minuses outweigh them, but in the sense that I do believe we need them. I do believe we need them in Congress. My gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Those people
big time.
You said institutionalized. They're just institutionalized.
Absolutely.
There's about as some people in the institutions.
Oh, yeah.
So you've overcome this. You're fighting. You're not trying to create a board that is all about people like you. You said something. You want to get people that are reflective of the community.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's what our founding fathers tried to create in America was getting away from a tyrannical government. This is government for the people, by the people, right? And in order for that to happen, you have to have representatives of the community. That's where we get our power. When the power dynamics are inverted, which I believe they were in our district, we've got a problem. So if they're not accountable to the people that they serve, who are they accountable to? That's unacceptable. And it's a beautiful thing that somebody from outside of politics, a mom, a musician, a wife, a community member who loves our kids, is able to step forward and do something meaningful and make real change. I think most people either, one, stay out of politics because they don't have the stomach for it, or the backbone to speak up when it's critical. I've learned, integrity and a backbone are things you cannot buy in this world. And when you elect someone, you should be thinking like that. Does this person, is their word their bond? Are they going to speak up when it's tough? And when are they going to be the ones to stand with a shield to protect everyone behind them and take the arrows? And that's always been something like I'm not afraid to speak up, to protect. And there's a lot of incredible leaders throughout our country, but in our county. And so to be among them is such a privilege and an honor. But that's the beautiful thing. There are very few offices that require specific things to be an expert in that field. We're supposed to be servant representatives. That's me and you. That's the lady down the street. That's the young mother, the grandpa who cares about his community. It's about us. And so if you're qualified to vote, you can run for office.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take more people to make that change, but it's possible. And I think we've seen that. I think people stayed away because they didn't think moving the needle was possible, but we're proving that it's absolutely possible and it can happen with ordinary people like me. So
you're an extraordinary person in my book.
Thank you.
I say that because knowing a lot of what you've done in your life. So where have you gone on the school board? What position have you risen to?
Well, going from the minority member under investigation, I will tell you that I have been the board president for the past 2 years, which has been a whole other learning curve. I remember the night that everything went down. I remember, and I think all mothers and probably fathers could relate to this. The first time I left the hospital with a new baby, I thought, I cannot believe they're letting me take this kid out of here. Like, what? Like, I just came in without a child and I'm not a parent. They just handed me the baby. I mean, I did carry that baby in, but different. The weight of that responsibility of holding that sweet, precious baby when I left was overwhelming and scary. And as the board shifted and I realized, whoa, some of this is going to be in my hands. There was a moment of they just handed me the baby. Like, wow. Whoa, this is really big. But I feel very fortunate that we have some incredible staff in our district. We have some phenomenal teachers and very good administrators. And we brought in a wonderful superintendent, and we have an incredible deputy superintendent who are great representatives of our community. Not that you ask these questions, but I have learned since working with them that they're men of faith, that they're men of character and integrity. And I'm grateful to serve among them and the other members of our board.
So a board like yours, the Placer County High School,
yeah.
How big is it?
It's huge. It's actually the largest geographical area in Placer County as far as a district is concerned. We only have high schools. We have roughly 3,600 students, but we encompass Deloro High School, Forest Hill High School, Placer High School, and Colfax. We have 2 continuation high schools, Confluence West and Confluence, and then we have a Maidu Virtual Charter Academy, which is amazing, doing some incredible incredible work with early college. We're going to be having students graduate with an associate's degree and their high school diploma. But we also have, I feel like, one of our secret special sauces, which is not for high schools, but we have an adult school that serves an incredible population with CTE programs, and helps them earn their high school diploma for those who haven't. And we have an inmate program that I'm very passionate about and have attended multiple graduations at Placer County Jail for our inmates. And their recidivism rate drops drastically, and they're able to access school and graduate, some with their GEDs, some with their diploma. And I've watched inmates cry and share their stories, and they have had rough lives. We've have wonderful teachers who are serving that community, who, some of these individuals never felt like they had anyone believe in them, and they feel like they can do anything. And I hope that they do, and I believe
Wow.
that they will.
You just opened up something I did not know about. I wonder how many other school districts have, which you talked about, the inmate thing, because you're so right that some of these people just never got an education that are in jail. Look, I'm not a big throw the key away guy. I want rehabilitation.
Yep.
The problem is with AB 109, when it transpired, it took people that were going to be in state prisons where they do have some of the tools and abilities, not very much, not very good. I'll just throw that out. That's me speaking, not Jessica. But to put them down to the local level. So I think what I'm sensing is you were part of the AB 109 structure, and thank God, Placer County, you've had great sheriffs. You got a great sheriff. You got a great DA
absolutely.
who want rehabilitation.
Absolutely.
If they're allowing you to go to the Placer County Jail and educate them.
Absolutely. We have a truck driving program in the Placer County Main Jail. They have some other groups that come in and also teach, but we have they're teaching them to be electricians. They're teaching them all kinds of different trades and marketable trades that they can use on the outside instead of falling back into those patterns that got them there in the first place. It's truly a phenomenal group. The consortium for adult school, we have a wonderful principal for our adult school, and Stephen Casperite, who is passionate about this field and is doing incredible work. We have schools up in Truckee. Their consortium is large as well, and we're serving a population that I didn't even know was in our school district. I've fallen in love with alternative education program and our adult and inmate program because this is just a group of people that I didn't understand what they needed to be successful, and the staff that are involved are amazing, and what we're offering them is changing their life. So yeah, it's just absolutely amazing.
So how do you guys work with the other school districts in Placer County? Do you communicate? Do you guys have meetings together? Because Placer County is an awesome county. It's one of my favorite. Placer and Eldorado County.
I agree.
Sacramento County, they mean a lot to me. But how do you work together? How do you coordinate together?
Yeah. Our Placer County Office of Education brings us together for different types of training. They had some governance training workshops. I was lucky to be a part of that. But there is a lot of camaraderie in our county. And whether that's through events that we hold together where we get to mingle. But I think that most of us have built relationships with people on other school boards. We're all dealing with the same things. And so, why we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If someone is doing something wonderful, let's participate in that. We passed something called a fiscal transparency and accountability bill, or a resolution, and now all of our documents, contracts, MOUs, et cetera, all of our financial documents and audits are now accessible in one click on our website. That didn't exist prior to this board. And other boards in in Placer County have followed suit and have done the same. But I'm also on the Placer County Office of Education Executive Committee, or School Board Association Executive Committee. So we're working to, host events and do awards. And but I'm also involved in other groups that meet with elected officials from all over Placer County and have prayer once a month over our county, and recharge from each other, and that's been an incredible blessing through the American Council.
I want to ask you this: what roles do teachers play in a school district?
Yeah, teachers are critical. At the end of the day, I think when we look at the systems in place that we have right now, if if you don't have a great teacher, those kids are not learning in class. I can say that in our district, we have some amazing teachers, and they're doing very good work right now. I think that we're fighting the state of California. I think that we fight unions. I think that we're fighting our legislature, who keeps pushing and making demands on a district that are distracting from the work that we need to do, whether that's politically motivated legislation or putting tampons in boys' bathrooms at schools, or, a number of other issues that have really thwarted the academic progress of this state in comparison to some others. The teachers are critical. And then the government structures that support public institutions are also vitally important, which is why we need local control. What San Francisco needs and what, Auburn, Loomis, Penryn, Forest Hill, Colfax need is very different. And we need to be able to make decisions for the people in our area and the kids in our area. And we're starting to do that. Placer High School just won California Distinguished School Award for moving the needle and closing achievement gaps. So it's happening, and I wish that they would stay out of it so we could we could get a little more done.
It is about test scores.
Yeah.
But as important, it's about building good people.
Amen.
Good community members. I'm a person who doesn't believe college is for everybody.
Yeah,
I
agree.
do believe college is a way to learn as an adult. I preach that, and I say that to everybody. I do believe that people should go to college, but we need some people learning traits.
Yeah, we do.
We've talked about it, in one of our podcasts about these PEG stations and what they do. They come into these schools and they teach people how to be in the film industry, how to write, how to edit, how to run a camera, how to do lighting, everything. And it's something they want to get rid of. Do you find those types of curriculum important in high schools?
I think it's critical. One of our goals is to have our children, our students, ready for career life at college. And CTE pathways are a part of that, career technical education. And we have a very robust CTE program. And we've actually just partnered with the Army to start doing the ASVAB for all of our sophomore students. They could opt out, but technically it's going to open their eyes to some of the areas that maybe they didn't consider, whether they serve or not. And that's a wonderful pathway for them that will also pay for their college should they choose to do that. So yeah, absolutely. It's critically important. And the career technical fields need to stop being shunned and frowned upon. College is not the only way forward. And frankly, we need some incredible plumbers and welders and electricians to keep everything moving. AI is going to take a lot of jobs that these college degrees are doing right now, but it's not going to take the trades.
Well, so I ask you this, as we come to an end, what is something you want people to remember about attending one of the high schools that you shepherd over?
I would say to families, to parents who are involved, that you make a difference. You will make a difference in your child's education. I am a firm believer in the Constitution, and parents have the right to direct the upbringing and the education of their children, and they should be involved. And whether that's participating in voting or serving on a school board or otherwise, just know that you can make a difference, and would encourage everyone to get engaged and to really know who you're electing when that comes. Those down ballot races, a lot of time people are not paying attention to that. And so there's wonderful people. Either it's you or it's going to be somebody else. And who do you want making decisions for your child?
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Jessica, thank you. I mean, this has gone by so fast. You're a wealth of information. You're a godsend to our community. And if people want to get involved, they can contact, because all politics starts local.
Absolutely.
And the school boards are about as local as you can get.
Yep.
And so
absolutely.
I know you guys are accessible, and people do need to get involved and have a say. So it's been one of those days where these interviews go by so fast. They're so content rich. So I hope it's helped you. Again, this doesn't have to do everything with Placer County. Take the message that you got from Jessica today and spread it in the school district you're involved with. Get involved. Our kids are the most important thing we have in our lives. Thank you for joining us here on the Powerhouse Podcast. Hi, this is Topo Padilla, and I want to thank my family at Greg Padilla Bail Bonds for sponsoring the Powerhouse Podcast. We are always involved in the community, so if you ever find yourself in need of calling a bail bonds, you can call us at 446-BOND or find us at PadillaBailBonds.com. Sac Life TV and the Powerhouse Podcast want to thank Mosley Collins for his unwavering support of our podcast that keeps people informed. If you ever need legal help, call Mosley Collins Law at 444-4444. That's all fours for legal help. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Powerhouse Podcast, where we bring you fair and balanced discussions on the issues shaping our community. We welcome your input, opposing viewpoints, and guest recommendations because every voice matters. Have a topic or a guest in mind? Email us at php@saclife.tv.